Prologue. Catherine Adams trudged through the dense jungle as though the earth itself were conspiring to swallow her whole, each step an effort against the harsh grip of the rainforest that pressed in relentlessly from every side. Thick vines clawed at her clothing, twisted roots lurked beneath her boots, and the air hung heavy with the sickly aroma of decay, damp earth, and unseen life stirring in the shade. She had lost all of her comrades. What had begun as a carefully planned expedition, organized, methodical, filled with academic promise and quiet excitement, had turned into a disaster somewhere deep within this green inferno. One by one, her companions vanished, devoured by the rainforest's vast and sinister embrace. Some simply lost their way and succumbed to the hostile environment. Others, the natives, captured. Catherine was the only one left, alone and hopelessly lost and confused. Light was fading fast. The setting sun filtered weakly through the thick trees swaying above, casting long, fractured beams that stretched into distorted shadows across the forest floor, shifting and twisting as though they possessed a life of their own. The deeper Catherine pushed on, the more the jungle seemed to change, becoming less a place and more a presence. Something ancient, watchful, and quietly terrifying. She clutched a camera tightly against her chest, as though it were the last remaining thread connecting her to the outside world she had left behind. It once represented purpose, evidence, a means of capturing truth and bringing it back to civilization. Now it felt like a hollow relic, absurdly fragile in a place devoid of pity. Catherine's breathing grew shallow and erratic, each gasp a struggle against oppressive sense. A violent cough seized her, and she tasted blood as it rose bitterly in her throat, sending a flicker of panic through her already distressed mind. Then a sound, a subtle disturbance in the undergrowth arose ahead. She froze instantly, every muscle tightening as the jungle seemed to fall into an unnatural stillness, as though it were listening. The disturbance happened again, creeping, malevolent, edging closer after each tortuous breath. Slowly, almost unwillingly, Catherine rotated her head. A figure revealed himself from the undergrowth, tribal paint on his face, silent, watching. The man's features, marked with grotesque patterns, smeared in dark pigments that distorted his skin into something almost inhuman, while his eyes, wide, unblinking, and filled with a chilling intensity, fixed upon her with hunger and revenge. For a heartbeat, she could not move before instinct kicked in, and Catherine screamed and ran like the wind. Branches lashed at her face as she forced a way through the undergrowth, her movements clumsy with exhaustion and panic. Then the wilderness erupted behind her in a sudden, violent chorus of sound. Voices rose loud and rhythmic, filled with evil intent, and the unmistakable thunder of drums trailed as the cries of 1,000 tribesmen closed in on the hunt. Catherine stumbled, caught herself, and pushed on, taxed lungs burning as though they might collapse entirely. Another cough tore through her, harsher this time, mucus flecking her lips as her vision blurred at the edges. Her foot struck a concealed bush trunk, and she fell forward, crashing heavily into the mud. The impact sucked the breath from her, and the camera slipped from her grasp, skidding and bumping across snakes and the damp earth, lost forever. For a moment, Catherine lay there, stunned and winded, hoping this was a nightmare from which she would awake. However, the crack of branches returned her to reality, and that terrible fear surged again. She forced herself up, clawing at the mud, legs scrambling to free herself from the pursuit. But it was already too late. They surrounded her in a tightening circle, emerging from the jungle like demons summoned by a shaman. Painted faces, muscles streaked with blood and clay, eyes that burned with something primeval, hungry and merciless.
Gotcha, Catherine.
Coming soon.